sure. There you go.
Well, now you can opt in. Hello, my name is Dan, and my pronouns are he, him, and I am running a game called Chamber on the Gauntlet. This is part of a series of games in the Paragon system. This is the third game that we are playing. Chamber is sort of the X-Files flavor of the Paragon system. We started last week. We met our characters, and we got started in searching for, I believe they're called SRMs, which we should probably bring up the rules for this game.
Yep.
SRMs, which are these little objects that have been infected by some kind of alien signal. That is all I remember. And we were just about to do a recap of last time, but before we do that, let me talk about safety tools. Then we'll do character intros, and then we will do some recaps. So safety tools, we are using 3. We are using open table. Anyone at the table can walk away at any time. They need to. If they can set expectations about when they're coming back, fantastic. Number 2 is X card. We have X card built into our dice roller. If anything comes up that you find objectionable or concerning, please click the X card button, hold up your hands, type in X, or just say X card. We'll rewind and we'll replay the scene. And then the last is lines and veils. We have a spreadsheet in our character keeper listing a variety of topics that we have either lined, that is, will not make their way into this story, or veiled. We will maybe refer to them, but not necessarily play out all the details of them. Those are our 3 safety tools in brief. Does anyone have any questions about any of those?
How about X card back to 2020?
What was that? Oh, you want an X card in the entire year?
Nah, games were fun.
Games are not bad. Just parts. large portions of 2020. All right, friends. Why don't we go around and do quick intros, yourself and your character. Matthew, do you have the character keeper open?
I do not, but I can tell you about my character already.
I'll post the link. I love that you added a picture. Joe, why don't we start with you? Introduce yourself and Isaac, please.
Love to. My name is Joe. I use he, him pronouns. I'm having fun hanging out on the Gauntlet, and I'm looking forward to doing more of this game. I am playing Isa Thatcher. Isa was a journalist who was dedicated to uncovering the truth. What she found was that as she uncovered more and more truth, she realized that she was actually harming people and starting to spread this thing that they call the signal. She and Raymond kind of joined at the same time, I think we decided, and are somehow associated with the SRM, or the signal resonance material situation that Raymond had. Yeah, and she's really good at manipulating people.
Nice. Thank you. Darren, can I ask you to go next?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Darren, he, him, and my character is Morgan Blodgett, who is a former FBI agent, and he had one experience with SRM and was transferred to the chamber, and he's also not sure if that was for political reasons. He was not particularly rabid about the Red Scare, so that did not help his FBI career. So that's that in a nutshell. And I'm gonna add a picture.
Sweet. Thank you. And last but not least, Matthew.
Yeah, I am playing. Excuse me. I am playing Raymond Tam, former firefighter, whose encounter with the signal has somehow changed him or transformed him in a way that he doesn't really know yet. He hears, like if he shifts his head or twists it a little bit, in some way, sometimes he catches the sound of voices, but otherwise, he puts his practical experience as a frontline worker and a former veteran to helping the chamber out in investigating the signal.
Awesome. Thank you, friends. So we were going to do some recaps. So Joe, highlights from last time?
I really enjoyed that we took on a monumentally difficult task and failed. We really like put everything into it, and I just see this as one of those comedy X-Files moments where Mulder and Scully are like, no, but we're FBI. And the people's like, yeah, no, we understand, but no.
But we don't care.
Yes. We don't care.
It reminds me of Bruce Campbell claiming he defeated Spider-Man by refusing to let him inside the theater.
Nice. Darren, what do you remember about last time, or what was some of the, if we were to do a previously on chamber, what would you say is kind of a highlight for you?
We had kind of an establishing scene where we we were at the Candy Apple Diner and listening to some music and talking about standard operating procedures, and some people had some reactions to that.
Not for everybody.
Yeah. So, and then yes, we went to a hospital to try and extricate somebody who was there because they had been exposed to SRM, and it was kind of a contest for the bottom on that one. I think I won though. I think I had the worst roll. So yeah.
And Matthew, do you remember who got you were trying to recover a patient who had been infected because you were trying to track down this SRM. Do you remember who got the patient after all?
Not particularly. All I remember is that our doctor and our agent could not convince the hospital staff of our authority at all. While my attempts at trying to lay on the empathy did not work either. So it was really a case of whether it's charm or authority or anything else. These agents weren't up to the task. But I think another doctor took over from the patient, and if my memory is not dulling out, might be relocated to another ward.
Where we landed was as you were all trying to convince the hospital staff to let you take the patient, another team showed up to claim the patient. And that team was comprised of Russians.
That's right.
Yep.
And the Russians, and I think it was, you just were able to recognize them as Russians. What I don't remember, I think what we talked about, but I don't remember like where the characters landed, was that when you got back to headquarters in Detroit, the Russians were there. And this was sort of part of everyone's frustrations, is that it feels like Chamber might be working directly with the Russians. Am I remembering that correctly, or did?
Oh, I don't know if you're remembering correctly, but I actually really like that angle, because it suggests to me that as far as the chamber is concerned, investigating, solving, and processing the signal is more important than national security, which is
right.
Totally an angle that a federal bureau would work that I would absolutely believe is in the realm of possibility.
Yes, for the purpose of.
If you told me the Department of Sanitation was just like, hey, we need a bigger budget, and like, Congress isn't granting it to us, and they're like, let's turn to the Reds.
Yeah,
like, yeah, that sounds legit.
Yes, I'm sure the Russians would like to pick up our trash. So, as a reminder, this game takes place in 1968, right? So it's sort of right at the height of the Red Scare. Or kind of the Cold War, I should say. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So I'm thinking that we maybe play out the scene at the headquarters. And I don't know exactly what this looks like, but my thought is we kind of do two contests. One is the scene at the headquarters. Maybe you're confronting the authorities of Chamber. Maybe you're trying to deal with directly with the Russians. We'll figure that out. And then the second thing that we'll do after our break is do kind of the final contest. And I'll explain how this works in the Paragon system. But this will be a series of 3 roles. And my thought is that the way that will work is, or what that will be about is trying to actually recover this SRM before the Russians do. Does all that sound okay? All right. So we're at Chamber headquarters, or the Chamber field office, I should say, in Detroit. Darren, I guess you are geographically closest to that. I've never been to Detroit, so I'm curious, where would you imagine this is located? Is this like in an office building somewhere? Is it, did we say maybe it's in an underground garage? I'm thinking back. I can't remember if it was this game or some other game where we put it in an underground garage.
I have not been to Detroit, but I wonder if yeah, let me see when the Silver Dome was built here.
I do not care. That sounds good.
Okay. So yeah, we're yeah, not until 1975. So I don't know. But yeah,
Close enough.
Maybe they've broken ground on it.
Yeah, we're like underneath that or something, or hidden. Yeah, underground sounds good.
In my opinion, it was the government Silverdome before Pontiac bought it out.
Yep. Maybe Pontiac is just a shell for government operations.
That sounds about right.
Go on, tell me more. Eat popcorn.
What's it is how do you get into this thing, Darren? Is there like a sort of a bat cave type entrance? Do you have to go down into a
yeah, there's like this like concession stand that is weirdly closed all the time, and you have to like climb over the counter, open the door to the back part of it, and then like open a secret door to the elevator and go down.
Right. Maybe there's like a refrigerator in the back of the concession stand.
Yep.
And then you go into the refrigerator, but that turns out to be an elevator.
Yep.
That takes you.
You have to set it to a particular temperature to go down. And yeah. I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
I love it. I love it. I'm just observing our new anagram, which is great. And Joe, when you get in, when you sort of come out of the elevator, what is the kind of overall feeling of this field office? Is it sort of like a big open, lots of desks, lots of computers? Is it a little bit more Warren-like, kind of lots of little hallways? Is there something else? What do you think this headquarters looks like?
So the government decided to subcontract this.
Of course.
And the person they got was like a sort of radical early 60s architect design person. So there's a lot of open plan. It's sort of like Warren's to open plan, like when you first come in, a long hallway that looks like it comes right out of a 50s Cold War movie, like little hanging lights. But then you open a door and suddenly you're onto this warm shag carpet.
Yep.
And there's sunlight or sun lamps everywhere, so that looks like you've got open windows. There's like Art Deco on the wall. I think we're in time for like there's a couple of Andy Warhol prints.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that people stare at and go.
That's so great. And there's like a laboratory area where they've clearly brought the hospital patient. And even though, you know, everything sort of has that kind of, as you said, sort of shag carpet, I'm sort of picturing maybe even exposed concrete, that kind of stuff. When you look into this kind of glassed off area of the hospital room. That looks sort of very pristine, very brightly lit, that kind of thing. You see your commanding officer and standing in the hospital room area, and maybe one of the Russian leaders there. Does that sound? I think maybe the whole Russian team is standing there. Kind of, they're all getting debriefed on this thing. Matthew, there's like a receptionist type person, or like someone who sort of is not a guard, but kind of deals with people coming in. And so they welcome you. Who is this person? Do you have a sense of like, who is the kind of longtime receptionist of this Detroit field office of Chamber?
Who takes the place of the reception, like field office front person role is actually rather surprising, because it's a rather fit man, tall, blonde haired, and the most piercing eyes. Think Neil McDonough, but in in a more administrative role. So that kind of look.
Do you all have a good relationship with this person, or is it kind of strained?
No. He's very snippy. He's very always finding fault in everything, and not just in not just in terms of bureaucracy, just like literally everything, like whether your tie, whether where you place your coffee, everything.
Right. Yeah. So I think
Isa.
Oh, go ahead.
Isa is trying very hard to have a good relationship with this person. It's probably not working.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't buy into your whole shtick, and I think he sort of looks you up and down as you come in, and just kind of looks up from what he's doing, just sort of shakes his head and looks back down. I feel like you're trying to figure out how to kind of set an objective for you all here. And I'm wondering if it is something like trying to let the boss give you all another chance. Does that seem like a good fit? Or maybe you all have a different idea for what are we trying to accomplish here?
I know that Isa's point of view right now is that it really feels like we were set up to fail, especially since this Russian team has brought this person in. So I really feel like, yeah, so give us another chance, but also like, what am I,
like what happened here? This is not our fault. Like we did exactly what we were supposed to do. We did this totally by the book.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah,
so
like
trying to find out what exactly happened here. Yeah, that's more my point of view. I think that ties into giving us another chance as well. Like I don't think they're necessarily separate.
Right. I also feel like this is maybe the first time you all are putting two and two together with the fact that these are Russians who are working for Chamber. Like that part is completely unexpected. So I would imagine part of this is also trying to figure out why are the Ruskies here, and what is their relationship to Chamber. So all right, so now we've got sort of myriad kind of objectives here. I think kind of the antagonist, if you will, is sort of Chamber the organization. So when I roll, I'll be rolling for Chamber the organization, but I'm curious, Joe, how does Isa go about trying to figure out what went wrong here?
I think this is one of those times where Isa is like, screw the subtlety. She goes right up to like whoever her direct report is and is like, what the hell?
Okay.
What the hell?
I like it. All right. So she's going to confront them head on.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, I'm thinking this is a noetic vectors contest. So we will be rolling the noetic vectors die. Darren, what is Blodgett doing here? What is his angle here?
I think his angle would be like, help me, help you. I can't do my job if I'm getting the mushroom treatment, like kept in the dark and fed bullshit. So, just throw me a bone here. I'm just trying to do my job. I do what you tell me to, etc.
Is he going up to like the bureau chief or the the field office chief, or does he also have a boss or a manager that he's going to? What do you think?
I think he'll follow a chain of command and start with his direct supervisor.
Maybe you and Isa, maybe the team has the same supervisor, right?
Okay.
Like
Sounds
you're all
good.
yeah. So Matthew, what is Raymond doing here? What's Raymond's angle here?
So, if I understand correctly, Darren's trying to work with a more, sympathetic angle, while Isa Thatcher, what is the angle that she wants to work?
What the hell is going on, and why did you leave me to hang?
Leave you hanging. What part?
Well, I definitely, Isa definitely feels like we were set up to fail.
That's right. All
Yeah,
right.
so it's like, why the hell did you set us up to fail? What was the point of this if you were just going to have the Russians go in and grab them?
I think that's really tough. I think Raymond would just try to like look into. Oh no, that's not. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do here. I feel like all the bases are covered for that for this situation.
I feel like you could maybe Raymond is kind of sniffing around the hospital room with quarters.
Yeah,
to try to figure out what are the Russians doing here? How do they fit into all of this? That kind of thing. Does that sound like something you would do?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I think so. We're dispersed across not the hospital, but the entire town. Is that what you're saying?
I missed your question. Say it one more time.
So we're dispersed across the town, not just in the.
You're in the headquarters now. You're in the chamber field office.
The Reds are just like moving freely, basically.
Yeah, the Reds are. I think I established that there's a hospital room type a laboratory in the headquarters. So, but it's glass enclosed, so you can see that. I'm picturing you sort of after you come through the Warren.
Yeah.
You kind of come into this open plan area. You see your boss over in one corner. That's where Isa and Blodgett are going, and then you see the hospital room kind of over in another quarter with the branch chief and the Russian team over there. So I can see Raymond kind of splitting off from the other two to kind of go investigate what is the deal here. Does that
I'm sorry. Yeah, it seems okay. I'm sorry for taking up so much time to resolve such a simple query, but I think that makes sense. I feel like Raymond, out of the four of us, or three of us rather, at present, would definitely be more inclined to go low key and sort of like pass himself off into the background, and while also like looking around, the way people can be in plain sight, but also seem not worthy of attention or notice.
I endorse you taking 2 minutes for your character's part in this scene.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got it straightened out. So I say we roll a contest here. I'm going to roll on behalf of Chamber, and then you all will roll. Let me grab the dice roller.
Just to verify, our team manager handler is Abigail Whiteford. Abigail is a woman?
Yes, that was what I had in mind, if that's okay with you.
I only asked that because that is going to slightly affect how Isa handles this. Okay.
Yes. All right, here's our dice roller. I think Chamber Command has one of these and one of these. Hopefully this is not all right, not too bad. All right, so if you recall, I basically roll a couple of dice to represent the challenge, and I take the highest one and I add it to the kind of challenge level, which seems to always be 5. So I rolled a 3 and a 6. The highest one is 6. That means you all are trying to beat an 11.
That is-
Here we go again.
Hey, it's easier than the 15 we got last time.
That 15, holy moly.
Literally anything. Well, I guess if you rolled on 18, I guess that would be harder.
Yeah, I mean, my intent is to roll higher dice. So for the upcoming challenges, but I don't know. All right, so I'm going to go down the row and the character keeper, assuming, I mean, Darren, you've done this a bunch of times, so maybe you already have your dice pool in mind. Do you want to walk us through it, or do you want me to walk through it?
Sure. And, subject to your approval, I'm thinking, name die, of course. Then, it's insight. Sorry. I think my profile as a federal agent would apply. And you said it was noetic vectors.
Yep.
So I have a D6 there. So far 2D6 and a D8. Then I would like to mark a duress
Okay.
to throw in my what's it called? Applied dynamics.
Yep.
And I think I would also like to use my expertise D4
Okay.
because he has mastered the art of help me help you during his career with bureaucrats. So
That's perfect.
let's see.
What is or are you going to do anything else? I'm sorry.
Oh no, that should be it.
How does applied dynamics, which is really sort of physicality, how does that play into this?
He's just gonna kind of like subtly, like he's gonna sit down. He's gonna like kind of soften his face a little bit and just be like, hey, like you use kind of a more neutral voice, like I mean, I just need to know what's going on.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen 30 Rock, but this is sort of a variation on Baby What's Wrong.
I'm not familiar with that. No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. That's
Not trying to sound sexist, but yeah. So let's see here. So 2D8, 2D6, and a D4.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to pause.
Yep. Don't roll.
Assemble, and then we'll try and more or less hit roll at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Matthew, you're up. Do you need
All right.
help walking through it, or have you got it?
I think I got it mostly. So I'll use this profile die, Survivor D6. The human factors, because the thing I have in mind is that using deception and to sort of like pass himself off as just to become nothing but social background noise, if that makes sense.
So this is I, as the GM, dictate which of the domains you use, and
right.
I've specified that it's noetic vectors, which is fine because you've got a D8 there.
Oh, that's great. That.
If you would like to add another domain die, you can spend a duress down on line 25.
Oh, why not? I mean, Blodgett has spent it, so let's go push it. This is quite a dire situation. So yeah, I guess that means I add another domain, so it's a D8 and a D6.
Right. So I'm counting 3D6 and a D8 right now.
All right, 3D6 and a D8, and I think that's about it. I don't think anyone is going to pull in any bonds for the rest of this one.
Okay. So remember, you're trying to beat an 11. And remember, you're just taking the best 2 dice, so you may do it okay on the D8, but if you want to spend one of your strengths, that will let you add a D4. Again, up to you.
Let's try resilience. I think this is definitely about sort of putting a little bit more grit and resolve into finding out the truth of the situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. I am spending that resilience already.
So that gives you 3d6, a d8, and a d4.
Yep.
Ask you to pause on that. And then, Joe, do you want me to walk you through, or have you got a handle on it?
Yes, please. I think I've got a handle on it, but just to be sure.
Okay, so you get your name die.
I do. That's 1d6.
I think your profile die journalist applies, so that'll
Okay.
be another d6.
I will add that as well.
You get a d6 for your noetic vectors.
Absolutely.
And then you have some choices you can make. You can spend a duress or mark a duress in order to add another domain die, which might be appropriate so you can get the d8 in there.
Right. Quick question. What happens when we reach 5 duress?
Basically, you'll start to mark burnout.
Gotcha.
And this is really, if I had one complaint about the game, it doesn't suit one shots very, very well because you don't really care, like at the end of the
Right.
day. So,
because I'm definitely thinking, that's no. I do want to spend I do want to take a point of duress because I want to put my human factors in on this.
okay.
Because I mean, the whole conversation is kind of a manipulation. The whole
Right.
going right for her is a manipulation. So
Right.
that is
So,
a D8.
And then the last choice you can make is, or two more choices that you can make is whether you want to spend a strength in order to add a d4.
I do. I want to click off bravery
Nice.
because I definitely feel like going right for the throat is kind of a brave move.
Yep. And then you could spend a bond to add one of their name dies, but they just have d6s. So
Yeah, I don't feel like that suits the moment.
okay.
And I actually get 2 dice instead of 1 because of my special.
Oh yes.
Take 2 dice instead of 1.
Yeah, so you get 2d8 for that.
It's 2d8. I will
That's
take
pretty
this.
nice.
That
And
is nice.
actually, Matthew, you're gonna roll 2d4.
Oh, nice. What
Mhm.
happened? What? Sorry, I was just looking to sync for a moment. What happened?
That's okay.
So,
Because of
D4.
the advance that you took, when you use
Oh.
a strength, you can roll 2d4 and keep the highest.
That's right. I did actually use that last time. That's right.
All right. So let's, if everyone's pools are ready, let's go down the row. And Joe, why don't you hit roll?
You got it. Hit and roll.
So it looks like you did well, but let's make sure. So you add up the 2 highest. That's a 5 and a 4.
Mhm.
And the you always add the d4. So that's a 10.
That is a 10.
Not quite right.
Just missed it.
Just missed it. Just a bit outside. All right. And then Matthew, you want to hit roll?
Let's go. That's
Oh,
a 4-1-1, a 4, and a 4 and 3.
So actually you did fine. So you add up your 2 highest from the d8s and the d6s. That's 8. And then you add your highest d4, which is a 4, which means you got a 12.
Oh, thank God. Thank
That
Lord
is nice.
Jesus.
Good job.
And Darren. Oh, nice. You did great. So 6 and a 5 is an 11 plus another is 12. All right. So the way this works,
Damn.
so you all were successful. So that means like whatever we were trying to accomplish, we accomplished. Because Matt and Darren tied, you each get 11 points of insight.
Nice.
So you can, in your top row, you can add 11 to the one that's already there.
Sorry, just to clarify, I was 1 under. Do I still get counted in their success?
Yes. So your overall, the team was successful.
Gotcha.
Your part of it was not very successful.
And that's like,
Yeah, in Aegon with the Greek hero thing, it's called suffering. So that's what we call it here. You do get 1 point of insight, so you can add a 1 to that one up there. All right, so the bookkeeping is done. So let's narrate what goes on. So Joe, we'll start with you because you rolled lowest. So how does this not go so well for Isa?
so it turns out this was not a setup to fail. This was actually I don't know the details, but this actually was something like Abigail kind of went out on a limb to make sure we had this opportunity. I think because I didn't like crash and burn, I think she understands where I'm coming from, but she definitely brings me up short and is like, look, you wouldn't have had this opportunity if I hadn't stuck my neck out. And I
That's
just
so
sort
great.
of like, shit.
Yes, that's so great. Yeah, I wonder if part of this is your history as a journalist too. It's sort of like you're always expecting people to set you up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that I haven't been set up by this weird government agency just sort of feels a little weird to me.
Yeah. Like, wait, we help each other here?
Yeah. What?
Okay, that was great. And Matthew and Darren, you each rolled a 12. Which one of you wants to go first?
Sorry, Darren, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
All right. Well, if you're going to, yield the floor to me, I think my suggestion will be that what Raymond finds out is, I guess, she finds the Reds, I guess, collaborating with the current sub-director of the of Chamber, and you think it would be complicated politics or something like that, but what it flat out is that the subdirector actually owes the Reds for something that happened a decade ago. Maybe extracted him or helped him leave a conflict zone during World War. What war did America get involved in prior to 1968? Because my history only knows like World War II, and it was Vietnam already in swing.
Korea.
Yeah.
Korea.
It's
All right.
about 63 for Vietnam. I can't remember though.
You know what? I'm glad it's Korea because Raymond is Korean. So yeah, the way I'll say it is
That's
that
Daniel Day Kim.
yes, it is Daniel Day Kim.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. The way I'll put it then is that the Reds have agents of all races and nationalities among them. They are only unified by ideology, and so the agent in charge there, surrounded by your usual expected Reds. One of them is of Korean descent, and he's speaking to the subdirector in Korean. You know what I mean? And that's Raymond is able to like pick on that, on the relationship, the whole, what's this? If we didn't get you out there, you would have been dead. You would have been, you would have not made it out of the country. So you owe us. Anything you find, you run it by me before you run it by your director.
Nice. I love that. So basically, you've sort of uncovered this this kind of personal history between this particular director in Chamber and this Russian team. I love that. That's great. And Darren, tell us about Blodgett. How does Blodgett approach Abigail? What was her name? Whiteford.
He's he kind of squeaks by on the help me, and she starts to talk about, well, you don't get to know everything on your security clearance, and he kind of redirects to like, just tell me enough to do my job.
Nice. And she was like, so I think what happens is she calls Raymond over, and so now she's talking to the three of you, and she says, to be honest, the director has this personal relationship with the Russian team, and I wasn't sure that we could trust them. So in a sense, this job was to try and see if the Russian team would follow through, and if we could truly make Chamber an international organization. between you and me, the director is sold. I'm still not, right? This was a relatively easy thing for them to do. But now we've got some intelligence on where the SRM is located. I think the director is going to send the Russian team out to go retrieve it. I want you all to go there as well to make sure that when this is retrieved, it ends up in Chambers' hands and not back in some underground lab in Moscow. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And she indicates the location of the SRM, which is just outside of town. And here's the idea that I had for kind of where and how this SRM worked. Basically, it's kind of an old, let me think, it's like an old pump. Oh, hello, kitty cat. It's like an old pump out in the middle of nowhere, but it gets activated when the tornadoes, actually, we don't get tornadoes in Michigan, do we? I was thinking Midwest.
That one I don't know. I think so.
Let's just say, I mean, everywhere gets electrical storms. So let's just say that when an electrical storm comes through, the SRM gets activated. And just as she is explaining this to you, one of the folks at a desk with a computer says, Director Whitefield, we've got a storm coming through. And she says to you all, now's the time to act. And just as you all start to kind of get up to leave, you see the Russian team making their way out of the headquarters. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. So I've got 1 past the hour. Why don't we reconvene in 10 minutes and do kind of our final contest. So I will see you all at 11 past the hour. Sound good? Cool. See you shortly.
Hello.
All right, so you are heading out to this location that out on the outside of this town where you recovered the patient, or where the Russian team recovered the patient from. I'm sort of imagining that this kind of well pump is at the end of this chasm, and that when the electrical storms come, it kind of activates the SRM part of it. So what we're going to do is what Aegon calls a final, I think they call it a final battle. And since Joe, you haven't walked through one of these before, I will just sort of give you a high level view of what this looks like. The contests are the same. So basically everything is almost exactly the same, except it takes place over, we do 3 rolls. The first kind of building up to the final thing. So the first one is called the Clash. This is where you sort of are approaching the thing and trying to set yourself up for an advantage. The middle one is called the Threat. This is when the bad guys try and do something to make your lives difficult or create a distraction. And then the last one is called the Finale. And this is where kind of you either win or you don't, the final battle there. So
excellent.
So I think you see the Russian team also approaching and heading down the chasm, maybe kind of from the opposite direction. And their demeanor has changed from kind of friendly camaraderie to clearly competitive. So now you are trying to, in this role, this is called the Clash, you're trying to create an advantage for yourself in the final confrontation. So I think you're trying to head down chasm, but also maybe set yourselves up for whatever violence might ensue between you and the Russians, as well as to try and recover the actual artifact. I think besides the chasm, there is, let's say that maybe there's, just to create some tension, this well or this well pump is on the site of an old farm that is, or let's call it a set of cabins that are still occupied by a set of families. Clearly, I have no idea what happens in the Midwest, so that is my conception of what's going on here. And it's nighttime, and the storm is coming. I guess I'll open this up. Does anyone want to add any more detail or anything else going on in the scene that we can imagine?
Oh, I'm sorry if I missed this. Do we know the nature of the SRM?
Yeah, I'm picturing like it's kind of a metal pipe with a pump that sort of is sitting in the middle of a field somewhere.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was just like a, set piece. Sorry, I get it.
No worries. Yeah, so oh, we lost Matthew.
Darn it. What do I want to add to it? I want to add something. So it's just coming on tonight. It's night. We've got a storm coming in.
Yeah, I think it's sort of just after dusk. Maybe there's like the wisps of sunlight are still in the air.
Perfect. So this area of cabins is a it's a rental place.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of young kids, like young adults, 20-somethings here.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for filling that in. Yeah, it's almost like maybe it was a summer camp at one point. Now it's just kind of vacation rentals.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Yeah, and so now it's occupied by these kids, these college kids who have sort of come out to see what all the hullabaloo is about. So why don't we go around? Gosh, I hope Matthew comes back. Why don't we go around? Matthew's messaged me to say that his internet has suddenly died and he'll be back in 2. So why don't we go around and say, what are you doing to set yourself up for an advantage? Whoever wins this contest gets a D10 that they can then use in any of the other upcoming contests. So you literally get a mechanical advantage as an advantage die as well. So Isa, why don't I start with you? What are you doing to kind of create an advantage for yourself?
Let me know if this is too much of a stretch. When we were back at control, before we left, Isa managed to find out the frequency of the radios that the Russian team is using. And Isa, as a journalist, she's covered obviously the Cold War. She's covered instances going on between the US and Russia and its various satellite nations. So she speaks a little bit of Russian, not much. So I'm going to say she gets on the radio and talks to the other team a little bit in Russian, like sort of like, hello, I am new here. Where is the bathroom? Like some very deliberate, and she kind of like tries to break the tension. Like, yeah, I know you're going to try and get this before we do. We're going to try and get it before you do. But, whatever happens, your life's going to go on. So she kind of tries to downplay the importance and kind of get everybody to relax.
I think that's awesome. I think that's great. So one of the great things about, or one of the differences about the Clash or any of these contests is that you get to choose what your domain is going to be. So instead of GM deciding, you get to decide. This feels like human factors.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I've not yet rolled for what the challenge will be, but why don't I do that and ask Darren, what is Blodgett doing to create an advantage for himself?
So how did we get here? Did we drive?
I was sort of picturing you in a rented, in a car, or maybe, in like a sedan.
Okay, I'm thinking that after we're gonna try and get there as fast as possible.
Right.
And do we see them though when we're coming in?
Yeah, but I think they approached from a different way. So they're far enough away from you where you're not like right next to the Russians. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and set up some severe tire damage spikes.
Okay.
And cover them with like, stuff that just looks like standard road debris and maybe some dirt. And
so when they try and get away, they can't.
just as sort of a like fail safe there. And I'm trying to think of what I could do to the device. Maybe I don't want to mess with that, but I also definitely want to set us up so that they feel surrounded when we sort of pop up.
Okay. That sounds great. Do you think this is advanced systems, applied dynamics? What are you thinking?
I was thinking it was applied dynamics. Essentially, the plan is like, we're going to pop up when they get to the device, say you're surrounded. We have weapons on you, and this is American soil, so that's ours. Get out.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. You're going to try and scare them a bit. That sounds great. Matthew, I don't know how much you heard or missed, but the short version is you are on the approach towards the SRM. You're trying to create an advantage for yourself. We decided that the SRM is kind of an old well pump, like a metal pump, and it's amidst a set of cabins which used to be a summer camp and are now just like vacation rentals, and there are college kids around, in addition to the Russians who are also approaching.
So I think we drove in, and that, judging by Issa's description in the chat, Special Agent Blodgett decided to approach the situation in a more, well, the word is underhanded, but definitely playing, pushing the rules, bending the rules. Yeah. So what happened there?
Blodgett is basically trying to set things up so that either the Russians' car gets damaged on their way out of town, or they are under the impression that there are more of you than there actually are. Darren, did I get that right?
Sorry, more of what?
That sounds good. Like there are more people here than there are.
Actually, right.
I see. I think what Raymond will try to do is find a way to sort of like stall them. You know what he does? I wonder if he can pressure our front guy, not Neil McDonough, Montgomery, to sort of like burden these Reds with a lot of like protocol before they're allowed to leave.
I pictured that you were already at the site. So, but maybe what you're saying is on your way out,
you
had him sort of load them up with a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. And not just paperwork, but sort of like just point, like say, like, like maybe I walk. So this is cinematics for style, not necessarily for logic.
Yeah.
So as we exit, Blodgett, Thatcher, and I, Raymond grabs a pen, just sort of like signs off whatever he needs to sign off to um, leave, and then tosses the pen in the air, and for Montgomery to catch. And when he does, he sort of gestures to the Russians behind him and points out how they are not um, that their pieces aren't registered, that everything is not as it
Right.
should be, and that they had been doing it since they came in. So not only do they have to like deal with the fact that their firearms were not registered, but that they had to account for the fact that it wasn't taken care of the whole 20 to 30 minute or hour that they were here, like that kind of
Okay.
stuff. Yeah,
All right.
very much a bureaucratic situation, and it sort of like leaves smoothly.
Okay. I'm a little confused about the timing of all this, but I don't care. We will work it out. So because we're sort of you're creating advantages for yourselves at different points in the timeline. And I think
Yeah.
that is super cool. So I did my roll for the Russians. I rolled a 7 and a 6. That means a 7 plus 5 is you are all trying to beat a 12 to try and gain an advantage die. So basically, whoever wins this contest gains a D10 advantage die that they can use on a subsequent roll. So let's just, I'm going to go down character keeper order. Remember, you can pick the domain that you want to use. You're trying to beat a 12. Darren, do you have a sense of what your dice are?
I do. Sorry, I am. Did I lose my character keeper? I'm sorry.
No worries.
Let me just. I think I did. I am
I'll
going to
post
reopen that.
I'll post the link.
Sorry about that. Let's see.
No worries.
Character keeper. And roll with me. Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe federal agent would apply. And also apply dynamics.
Yep.
And let's see here. I don't know how bonds would factor into this. So I would go with force, maybe. And my force strength, throwing
Okay.
that in. And yeah, I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could throw in advanced systems with a duress.
Okay.
For trying to just doctor up some stuff.
So I'm counting 2d6, 2d8, and were you going to throw in a d4?
Yep, my d4 for force.
Okay.
Let's see here. So I'll just click on the things and wait.
All right. Matthew for Raymond, trying to get the bureaucracy to work in his favor.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your d6 for your insight die.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like SRM Survivor is relevant here?
Probably not.
I assume you're going to use noetic vectors.
All right. Yeah.
Pick whatever you want here.
Uh-huh.
And then you can use force. I don't know.
I think the sort of like this is a very brute move in my opinion. So I think force applies here.
Okay. All right. I'll buy it. So
It is a blunt obstacle.
So you can add 2d4. That worked really well in your favor last time.
Yeah.
And then you can mark a duress to add another d6 if you like.
So wait, so it's 2d6 and then the strength is a 1d4, right?
The strength will be, because of your advance, it'll be 2d4.
All right. And I think I will kick off another bond, this time with Isa.
Okay, that lets you add
Uh,
another D6.
yeah,
So you've got 2d6, a d8, and 2d4.
yeah. I feel like the way it plays out is that he's channeling some of the old runaround that Isa is prone to doing in her line of work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So sit tight there. And Joe, what's do you have a sense of what dice you are putting together? What do you need?
Yes. So definitely my insight one. I think we've established that journalism goes into this as well.
Sounds good. 2d6.
Yep. Definitely using the human factor.
A d8.
I want to spend a duress and toss in my advanced systems because there is kind of a technology aspect to what I'm doing.
I'm okay with that.
Awesome. So because I am doing that, that is actually additional. That's 2d6.
2d6. Yeah.
Now I want to click off a bond with Raymond.
That would give you another d6.
It gives me another d6. Excellent.
So
I
I'm
will toss that.
counting a lot of d6s. 5 d6s and a d8.
That is what I'm showing as well.
All right. Why don't you click roll and see what happens?
Let's find out.
I missed the difficulty actually, but that's okay. I like to live
It's
dangerous.
12. It's 12. And actually, you squeaked it out.
I
Joe.
did. Nice.
Nice.
I won one.
Well, just wait. Be patient. Matthew?
All right. Oh, let's see. That's a 2d6. All right, let's do it. Roll. Oh, I almost pressed the X card for some reason. That is a 663.
Nice.
Oh, hey-oh.
That's amazing. And
Oh, thank you, Lord Jesus.
and Garen? Ooh. Oh, you squeaked it out. You rolled really well in that D4. That helped you out.
Wow.
All right. This was incredible. So you all have secured an advantage. And Matthew, you have a D10 that you can now add into your next, whatever, one of your upcoming rolls. You'll have 2 more rolls. So you can
A D10, you said?
yeah, that you can add into it. Yeah, you basically, if you win this clash, you've given yourself an advantage. And so you can now use that D10. Here's what I'm going to do. In the interest of, as much as I would like to hear kind of how all of this success plays out, in the interest of time, what I might do is just kind of fast forward us to the threat section, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And so at this point, what happens is in the threat session at time, you've kind of secured this advantage. The Russians notice that you've secured this advantage. They're starting to feel a little intimidated by the stuff that Blodgett set up. They're starting to feel maybe a little distracted by Isa's work. And there's like 2 of them that are still back in the car dealing with all the kind of additional bureaucracy that they were saddled with. So they're definitely disheveled, but the Russian leader is a cold son of a gun. So he doesn't sort of take any of this lying down, and he's going to set up a threat. So a threat is basically a kind of distraction that would sort of throw you off. And as good people, you are going to want to deal with this threat in addition to setting yourselves up to kind of win the final battle. So if we were going to go very obvious and cliche, maybe he sets fire to one of the cabins, right? And so now you've got the cabin's on fire, the college kids are freaking out, and now you have decisions to make. I'm also wondering if it's maybe not him that sets fire to the cabin now that I'm thinking through this, but the electrical storm has arrived, and a lightning strikes and hits one of the houses and sets it on fire. I also feel like maybe the SRM has become activated, and he does something to tap into that power. The Russian leader does something to tap into the power generated by the SRM. I don't have anything interesting coming to mind. Maybe one of you do. But now you've got sort of two threats. You've got the house is on fire. You've got him using the SRM. And you can decide, are you going to defend against one of those threats? Or are you going to seize, which is to try and seize control of the situation, so that, and if you do, if you win the seize contest, then you determine what the final battle looks like. So each of you needs to decide what you are doing. Darren, let me start with you. Are you going to defend, or are you going to seize?
So what I was thinking is maybe like when this thing starts going off, the guy in charge on the other side gets sort of a picture-in-picture view in his head of everyone else's point of view. And it's like overwhelming, but he also can see what we're seeing. You can see his team and us, like what we're seeing. So he's kind of getting an advantage there. And he's starting to piece out where we are based on what we can see. So I'm going to try and eliminate that threat. I think I'm going to go for I'm going to try and just wing him. I'm thinking like Blodgett pulled a rifle out of the trunk when he got here, and he's going to try and just like wing the guy and stop him from using the device before using more force.
Okay, so maybe the final battle is not with the Russians, but with the SRM itself.
That's what I was thinking, or
yeah, like
it could
that.
be the other. Did we establish there were others?
Let's just say it's him. So I like the idea, or it's the Russian team. So the Russian team is the threat. I like that.
Okay.
So you're going to defend against that threat.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry if I was a little verbose there.
No, not at all. No, it's great. I'm glad we worked that out. So then let me come to Matthew. You can choose. Are you going to defend against one of the threats, or are you going to try and seize kind of control of the battlefield, so to speak?
I think definitely seize control of the battlefield. Anyone feels that any artifact related to SRMs is too dangerous to handle in a chaotic situation. So things need to be cleared out immediately, so we can actually make coherent decisions about them later.
Okay. All right. Great. What are you doing to try and seize control? Basically, what the book tells us about seizing is not much. Basically, that you're trying to seize control. You're trying to have the upper hand so that you define the terms of the battle. Are you trying to stake out territory around the SRM? Are you trying to set yourself up to be in a good location? Are you maybe suiting up to try and deal, like, do you have special equipment to deal with SRMs? What do you think is the seizing look like here?
I definitely think Raymond would. Dr. Cannon isn't with us right now, right? So
No.
I think what Raymond would try to do is set himself up in an advantageous position, like maybe where he can see the threats and handle them, perhaps with a long range weapon of some kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're setting yourself up to kind of be
Yeah.
able to, I'm thinking maybe you've got chamber issued equipment
Yeah.
that lets you kind of contain these SRMs. And so maybe
Yeah.
you've kind of set up in a position to be able to contain it. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was wondering if maybe like Raymond understands how the handshake occurs between humans and the SRMs a little bit.
Oh, because you were there.
I actually like what Darren's suggesting a lot better. Actually, I was
Okay.
trying to process it in my head in a way that makes narrative sense. But with a supporting push like that, yeah, maybe Raymond will handle the containment equipment, and he still keeps his gloves on though.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. And Joe, let's come to you. What is Isa seizing or defending?
So as soon as the lightning strikes the cabin and it's on fire and the kids are in danger, I think of them as the kids. Nothing else fucking matters.
Right.
She's immediately there. So I think that's the defend.
Yeah, that is definitely a defend.
So she's going to try and get the kids out and make sure that they're okay.
Okay. So this is essentially two different contests. Actually, technically it's three, right? One for each of the defends and one for the seize. Hang on just a sec. See, it says each hero, their hero will participate in the contest to defend against the disasters. So that strikes me as there's one contest that's dealing with both of these disasters or both of these threats. Seems weird mechanically, but it'll be faster for us to resolve just 2 rolls instead of 3. All right, so I'm going to roll for the threats. And my highest roll was a 5. So that means for the defenders, Joe and Darren, you are trying to beat a 10. Oh, you know what? I wanted to give you guys one favor before for this. I feel like you all should be able to recover 1 strength because you were back at headquarters. So if you want to add 1 strength back, I'm okay with doing that.
That is very generous. Thank you.
Yes,
Done.
is my great pleasure. Matthew, if you want to add a strength back, you are welcome to.
Yeah. Figure out loud.
All right. So Darren, you want to put a pool together to try and deal with this this team of Russians?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm thinking like my insight die, I think federal agent would apply here.
Yeah, your training really comes in handy. Yep.
Oops, sorry, I gotta erase my old dice. There we go. Okay, so D6, then D8 for federal agent, D8 for applied dynamics. I would also like to add a bond with Raymond to the role because I feel like we're working towards the same ends and I kind of know how he operates. And I would like to take some duress to add human interactions because if he does actually like wing him, he's going to try and talk him down after that. I don't know.
Got it.
Depends on what you think.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Let's see. Let me just mark off that bond. So that's my pool.
Perfect. All right, sit tight, and we will come to Joe. You were also trying to beat a 10.
Alrighty. So D6 for my intuition or my insight. I don't feel journalist comes into this. D8 for human factors because I am definitely trying to move some people around.
Yep.
I want to click off a bond from Blodgett because I feel like I'm following the SOP at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a D6, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I also want to take a point of duress, and I will add 2d6 for that. Are you okay with me saying clicking off intuition, because this is
Yeah.
yeah, okay, because this is very much acting on instinct here. I'm not thinking too hard about what I'm doing.
Right. Also, you're trying to figure out like what's the best thing for you to say to get them out into safety.
Exactly.
A bunch of 20-year-olds. That is not an easy thing to come up with.
Yeah, exactly. So that comes down to 4d6, a d8, and a d4.
Yep. All right. When did you roll it, Joe? And then
Love to. All right. Ooh.
Got
6 and a 4 and a 2 for 12.
nice. Darren, you want to pull the trigger? Oh, nice. That is an 11. So let's just do a quick narration here. Darren, you would go first since you rolled lower. What does this look like taking out the Russian team, or at least disabling them?
So, he starts to realize what's going on with the SRM, and he doesn't want to kill this guy, but he definitely takes his time and draws a bead on him. And then he checks for a second to see where Raymond is, and then he lets out a breath and squeezes the trigger. And he doesn't wing the guy as hard as he wished he did, but he does manage to talk him into giving up. So he doesn't, he'll say, don't make me shoot you, essentially.
Right. Okay, cool. And Joe, what does this look like rounding up the vacationing kids?
Yeah. So we see a lot of chaos at this point. We see Isa running around, and I think we have a couple of like a half a minute of Isa running around and like yelling and panicking and freaking out, and that's not helping the situation. And it kind of we contrast with that and Agent Blodgett, who is just zeroing in, like all the chaos goes away. And I think Isa has this moment too of like all the chaos going away, and we even have a flashback to the diner of like, here's the SOP, here's the
That's great.
And then she starts just going down the line of the SOP. You do this, here.
Yeah, I feel like you've gotten them sort of all set up on the other side, like they're all kind of sitting neatly in a row, not screaming their heads off.
Exactly. Anybody who seems like they're still active, I get them to help other people. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
We forgot to add your previous victories. So you all get 12 points from the last. Well, technically, Matthew gets 12 points from the previous one. And then Joe and Darren get 6 points from the previous one. And then from this one, Joe gets 10 and Darren gets 5. If you care about that sort of thing. All right, Matthew. So now I'm gonna roll for the SRM. So the SRM.
Do it.
So you're trying to beat a 14 to seize control here.
Well, let's do it.
You got it, or
All right.
walk you through?
Sorry, what?
Would you like me to walk you through the dice, or you got it?
No. Well, yeah, sure. Let's, just so I don't make any mistakes in my state. Let's
Yeah.
see. We are getting an insight die, a profile die, since I believe this it pertains to my background.
Definitely.
This is, I think, a noetic vector. So we're talking about containing the situation with the SRM, trying to speak to the signal. Am I right?
Definitely.
All right. So we're talking 2d6 and 1d8. And then I think the strength die comes into play using precision, because of course, we do want to make sure this is handled, Look, man, the Ghostbusters were freaking amateurs. They busted the paranormal phenomena, but they might as well have been using sledgehammers while doing it. That is not the approach of the chamber.
No.
Yeah.
So that's actually
So
2d4.
yeah, that's a 2d4. And then I think I like what Blodgett suggested earlier, like sort of like co-mingling, our synergies with regards to field protocol, and
Yep.
we'll spend the one with Frank. So that gives me the ability to use another die. Is that what you said?
D6. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's all d6s from here now. So
Yeah. I got 3d6, a d8, and 2d4.
yeah. All right. I
It's just
believe
you,
that's
so you can roll it.
all right. Let's go. Please, oh God.
Oh, just missed it.
Really? Oh, 6 and a 4 and a 2 and a
Yeah. So
and a
you add the 6 and the 4, those are your two highest. That's 10. And then the higher d4 is a 3. That's a 13. And you were trying to get a 14.
ah.
Just missed.
Uh,
So
missed
what
it
goes
by that
wrong?
much.
What goes wrong as you're trying to seize control of this thing here, of this SRM?
I think so. Here's going cinematic again. So Raymond, has, I guess, the wires for the containment device, like, wrapped around his wrist. This is all 1968 technology.
Yep.
Super makeshift DIY. And as he's like controlling with one hand, he's sort of like the force of the SRM causes his hand to fly back, and when that happens, his other glove comes off,
Whoa.
and so now he's forced to try to control it, using a bare hand open, and it really fucking hurts because the resonance between the SRM and him, it causes him actual psychic pain.
Yes.
And he's beginning to fumble it, representing that gap between a 13 and a 14.
Yes. Yeah. I think the
it's not gonna
storm,
last.
the storm intensifies at this point. In some ways, this is not really a natural phenomenon anymore, that the SRM itself, because you are unable to contain it, the SRM itself is feeding the electrical storm, making it even more intense. When the SRM is now fully active. And I would like to just paint this real fast to kind of get a sense of what does it look like when an SRM and the signal is kind of fully active in one of these SRMs, with the understanding that there is, a storm happening at the same time. Darren, let me start with you. I feel like there's some kind of visual component to this, like you all see something in the air that wasn't there before. What do you picture happens when an SRM gets activated? What do you see in the air?
I think there's like an almost unperceptible static through the air. And for example, like the raindrops all vaporize for a second instantaneously.
Lovely.
And yeah, there's maybe a little bit of a shake through all of us, as there's kind of like a really low thump sound.
Okay. Yeah, so you kind of feel it in your gut too, like this kind of vaporizing happens, and it you feel it in your gut. Matthew, does it activate any of your other senses? And I'm thinking like sense of balance, sense of time, like anything that's sort of not obvious. Does it sort of mess with your head at all when an SRM is active?
It's interesting because I was very sleep deprived before I went to bed, and then woke up like 3 hours later. So I think that sense of collapsing time, but is there. But I think more importantly, you start feeling like there's a veil between between like where you are now as a person and where you could be and have been,
So
like sort of penetrating. And in that sense, the memory of your thought processes as a child and the memory of your thought processes as a future adult, like, are collapsing in. That's what I'm thinking.
that's
Like
so
you can hear three voices and they all belong to you.
that's so good. Joe, what makes it clear that this is alien tech or alien something happening? How can you tell that you are dealing with something that is not of this world?
Remind me, sorry, what was the visual phenomena again?
I get the feeling it was sort of the way Darren described it was visual static.
Yes, perfect. So there's this visual static, and then there's this warping sense of time, and you hear all of these voices that are like your voice, but it's voices from different times. And then you start hearing other voices in you start seeing other faces in the voices you hear, and you start hearing other people in the static.
Yep. Perfect. I also feel like what that is the SRM trying to connect with this alien technology and feed information back to it. So it's essentially draining life force from you all. Like that's what you're hearing in terms of this collapsing time. So it treats you as data, and it can send that data back to the aliens. And it sort of becomes, at once you're sort of losing any sense of identity, but at the same time you have an understanding that an invasion is imminent. Maybe not this year, maybe not this decade, but at some point these aliens are going to come, and they are trying to collect data to aid in that. You do not have control over the battle, and so you are experiencing this, but you still have a chance to try and disable the SRM. If you disable, because the Seas contest was lost, the GM gets to decide what is the fate of the enemy here. I think what would be interesting is if you all win this, what happens is you send what we have come to know as a computer virus up into the aliens. And so you create this kind of digital infection in them to try and cut off all contact. So that's where we're at. What are you all doing to try and win this battle? How are you trying to take down the SRM and this connection? Darren, why don't I start with you? What is Blodgett doing here?
I think he feels like Raymond is the linchpin. So he is going to essentially cover Raymond with his gun, and yeah, I think he's gonna like use his bullhorn and try and talk to everyone out of like syncing with this thing.
Okay. So trying to prop him up, essentially, like give him a pep talk.
Yeah, and possibly, if he has to fire, he'll fire at anyone who's obviously like taken over or trying to stop Raymond.
Okay, great. Matthew, what is Raymond doing?
Trying to not panic.
I like the idea of like just not freaking out, as sort of like and trying to regain control of your own senses. Maybe you have something else in mind, but just sort of like,
Yeah, I like that. It's a real Dr. Octopus moment. If you ever seen Spider-Man 2, the whole like no, like the whole, that bit in the end, spoilers for a 17-year-old movie, okay? That bit where he's like talking to his tentacles, trying to like convince them to stand down. It's that same situation wherein like even as he hears the voices in his head, and even if he hears like the noise from the signal, he's trying to like, you know, instead of using technicalities and grace to finesse it, now he's trying to like intimidate it into submission in
Yeah.
the hopes that it'll give him the clarity and peace of mind to be able to focus on his work.
Yeah, like you've tapped into like this inner, because
Mhm.
you were an SRM survivor, you sort of tapped into that part of your
Mhm.
history. I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
When the signal reaches into me, then I can reach into it.
Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, that's great. Isa, what are you doing?
All right, so shit is about to get trippy.
Yes.
When Isa realizes what's happening, when I realize what's happening, there on some level I realize, okay, yeah, we have to send them a computer virus. We have to lock down the SRM, but we also have to send them a computer virus. We have to make them understand that what they're going to get if they come here.
Okay.
So because the boundaries between like me and everybody else is starting to break down, I start going over every horrible negative thing that I've ever reported on, every horrible memory that I can draw, not just for myself, but for like everybody, these 20-year-olds, the Russians, Raymond, Blodgett, like everything we've ever done that we've ashamed of. And I fucking concentrate it and I send it off like, you want to mess with us?
Right.
This is what you get.
Love it. That's brutal.
Bomb ass.
Speaking of brutal, I rolled for the SRM and I rolled a 10 on my D10. So that means you are trying to beat a 15.
You're rolling really well this session.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. For your final thing. As a reminder, Matthew, you have a D10 that you can roll as well,
Mm-hmm.
which you should probably do here.
Yes.
So, you can, I think, hang on. I don't remember. I think you all just get to choose. Oh no, I get to choose the domain of the finale. So, I will say, I mean, I think this is noetic vectors. I think that's kind of the whole point of this thing that's happening. So noetic vectors is the domain. So Darren, do you have a dice pool ready? You want to walk us through?
Yeah, I'm thinking D6 for insight, D8 for federal agent, D6 for noetic vectors. I think I'll go with bond with Isa. Because it seems like, he realizes what her role is currently with the virus. And let's see here. I'm just checking stuff off. Also precision. He's trying to remember what tactics he's used, like what exact tactics he's used to distract people from syncing up with SRMs in the past.
Love it.
So let's see here.
And a duress?
Oh, no, I would be at max if I duressed. So
I mean, this is it, right?
Okay. All right, I'll do it. So applied force, he's also kind of using his federal agent big voice. So let's see here. That is D6, D6. I'm counting 2D8 and 3D6 and 1D4.
That's it. That's what I got. All right, stand by. Matthew, what are you thinking?
I am thinking that I will tap first into. Sorry, was Darren asking me a question, or is it?
No, I'm asking you to. What's in your dice pool?
Oh yeah. No, I'm thinking of because of Isa's like bomb ass like demeanor in this situation, that I'm definitely going to be tapping into that bond. And then, sorry, I did that backwards. And then using the insight and profile die together. You said this is a noetic vectors roll. Am I right?
Yep.
Yep. That's a 2d6, 1d8, and a
Well,
that's
if
right.
if you used a bond, you've got 3d6.
Yep. But no d4s left.
Oh, you're out of
We are
d4s.
Yeah.
But you do have
so-
a d10.
Yep. And that was the last thing I'm gonna buy. Hopefully this goes well.
Yep. All right.
3d6, 1d8, 1d10. Let's go.
Sit tight. And Joe, what do you got?
All right, let's roll it off. Insight die, D6. I think I pretty much argued that journalist gets in there as well, so D6. Noetic vectors is a D6. I am spending my bravery strength to get D4. I am spending the last of my bond with Raymond to get a D6. And then I'm marking a point of duress to add a second domain, which will be my human factor, so D8. And I'm taking 2 of those because of my special advance,
Yeah.
so that is 2D8. So
I got 4d6, 2d8, and a d4.
that's what I show as well.
All right. Why don't you roll first?
All right, crossing my fingers. That is a 12, so that's a no. Those D8s do not do well for me.
No. Matthew, why don't you roll it?
Okay, there we go. Rolling. That is a 2 and a 2 and a 6. I don't know how to read this one.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you're,
16.
yeah, you're adding your 2 highest dice. And that's a 6 and an 8, which is a 14. This is not good enough.
Again, a short one again. Where's
And
my force points?
Darren, did you let her rip? You are only. Oh my God, that's a disaster. That's 10.
Ouch.
This never happened to me before. What is so Darren, you would go first. How does Logic suffer here?
So he tries to use tactics that he's used before, like listen to the sound of my voice. When's the last time you saw a white horse? What's the square root of 6,561? Like trying to distract people, and he's too monotone. He's too easy to tune out with all this other stuff happening. And also, when he reaches for his weapon, there's all this electricity flying around, and the magazine detonates on his rifle, and he is injured and just too bedazzled with that and everything else going on to be effective.
That's great. And Joe, you rolled a 12 next. How does this go sideways?
So I think that the concentrated like hate bomb does get sent, but it leaks over into everybody. So everybody is like a little bit, Isa more than everybody else, but I think everybody is like a little bit traumatized by sharing these horrible concentrated memories.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
right. And Matthew, you rolled the best, but not good enough. What happens to Raymond here?
I'd say that if there are multiple shadows or within this space that the SRM has created, Raymond was able to sort of like talk down most of them, and you see them sort of like backing down, kind of, and then as each one gives way and parts, behind them lies one figure that refuses to be like beaten into submission by Raymond's personality, and that one walks up to Raymond, stretches out, his hand, and they all have like Raymond shaped figures, I mean, so reaches out its hand and grabs like Raymond by the shoulder and pulls him in closer to him, and then the rest of the figures sort of like, as they're scattered, like swarm back again, almost as if they're trying to like make Raymond part of the crowd of shades,
Does he
which
survive?
is how I interpret a 14 versus a 15. So,
Yeah. Does he survive?
um, I don't, I don't know. I don't know if he survives. Maybe
Okay.
it will depend on the epilogue.
I think that there's a sudden kind of the static noise and visuals just get so loud and so bright as to drown everything out. With the exception of kind of these alien voices that are ringing in your ears. And as loud as they have gotten, they stop abruptly as well. And the kind of smoke is kind of clearing and lifting. The storm has moved off. The kids are kind of making their way out of the chasm and back into their cars. They're clearly traumatized by what they've seen. You all are not doing well. I sense that Isa's kind of on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Blodgett is physically injured, maybe a little bit blinded in one eye. And Raymond, I think you're just broken. And as you all are sort of looking around at the aftermath, you catch sight of the Russians who have been knocked down to the ground. And they kind of, you see them getting up. And as they turn to look at you, they open their eyes and there's an eerie glow where their pupils and irises should be. And they kind of give you a smile, and you sense that the aliens are now walking among you. And they simply just make their way to their car. And that is where our episode ends. Does that seem okay to you all? Anything else you would
Absolutely.
like to add?
Absolutely.
To that?
I have an epilogue.
Okay,
Oh, you said.
Matthew, go. What is Raymond's epilogue?
So the Russians have basically walked off with everything, right?
They're now aliens, but yes.
Yeah, aliens passing themselves as Russians. Can you
Right.
imagine? Can you imagine the infiltrator being infiltrated?
Right.
Yeah. So we cut to a Siberian facility where you see a cell and you see Raymond's in it, and he's just sitting there and he just sort of like blank stared. He's got his the back of his palms on his thighs, and he's just like staring off into space. He clearly looks broken and sort of like traumatized. And then for a moment, you see like black ooze drip from his nostril, and he just sort of like wipes it a little bit, and then suddenly he's awake, like a person again, and he's looking at it. And then when he raises his face to the camera, his eyes have turned black as well.
Oh,
And he sort of like smirks a little bit, puts his palm back on his thighs, breathes deeply, and then the camera pulls away from his cell, and you see, like slowly as the camera just moves further and further, the room is completely empty. Like the room is completely empty, no furniture, no nothing, but there are guards, and they're just sort of like their bodies are kind of like broken, which seems on the face of it like the most terrifying thing.
right.
But what's actually more terrifying is that you see various objects sort of like floating. A telephone, a floppy disk,
Right.
maybe you know, a stack of files, whatever, and they all like resonating with the signal.
Nice.
So they're all objects that have been touched by the signal, and
Everything.
they're just like
Yeah.
bordering around the frame, like
Perfect.
he's connected with them, and we cut there.
That's great. I love it. Maybe Isa, I'll come to you. What is your epilogue?
Let me just quickly check. I have an idea that's kind of dark, but ultimately hopeful. Is that okay with everyone?
That's maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
that's the name
awesome.
of the game.
So we come in on Isa, we kind of come up behind her, and she's sitting at a desk, and it's a desk in darkness. We don't know exactly where it is. And on the desk in front of her is this this album. And as she turns it, it's all of these horrific news stories that have happened, a lot of which she's covered. And she's going through it. In front of her is a notepad that's got something written on it. It's very obviously a letter, but it's not exactly clear what it's about. She's got like a half-empty bottle of alcohol, and she has a gun sitting on the desk. And she's looking, and she's like, and there's very obviously this moment where she's like, well, what's it going to be? And she closes the book. She pushes it off the desk. She takes the glass that's filled with alcohol and just turns it upside down. Fuck it. She takes the gun, puts it in her holster, takes the badge that's the control ID, puts it on her belt, and she gets up. She pushes herself away from the desk, and she walks out like, this is not stopping me.
Yep. Got to go back to it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was great. All right, Darren. Tell us about Blodgett.
So it's clearly a dream sequence. It's a mashup of kind of his worst failure as an FBI agent and what we saw at the SRM scene.
Okay.
And essentially what happened in the FBI was him and his team were ambushed preemptively by some bank robbers, and he was the only one who survived. Part of the carnage was due to him shooting one of the suspects, but not taking him down. So yeah, there's kind of a mashup, like the guy kind of shimmers between the bank robber and Illich, the team leader.
Okay.
Also, The Day That I Die by Buddy Holly is playing on the jukebox. It was on the exact day that Buddy Holly died, so that's always kind of creeped him out.
Yep.
And you know, shots are firing everywhere. The air is electrified. The pincers are closing in, and then he wakes up, and he reaches, you know, he's got like a bandage completely covering half of his face, and he reaches up to wipe the sweat off his forehead, and there is a symbol burned into his hand. And you know, for the viewers who are paying close attention, when there was a flash of the SRM device, there were 5 things on there that kind of looked like alien script, and this is one of them.
Nice. That's great. That's fantastic. What a creepy series of endings. That was so good.
I mean, I had a lot of fun listening to everyone's endings. They're so
That was so
wow.
good. Will it get renewed for season 2?
Wait, are we on
No.
Fox? Because then no.
No, it's not. It's gonna be Fox. It'll be complained about forever.
It's the CW series.
I like Darren's suggestion that it's Fox, because man, did Fox kill a lot in the 2000 to 2010s? Am I right?
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Are you one of the few people who watched Drive?
I did see some Lone Gunman, which was about conspiracy theories and stuff.
Right.
Oh,
Boy,
yeah,
they
that
shit
one.
canned that.
Yeah, that was that X-Files spinoff.
Didn't they get 2 seasons at least?
I can't remember. Also, I feel like there is some like schedule fuckery with that, so I missed stuff.
Yeah, that they did schedule properly with everything. God, can you believe we used to be bound by broadcast schedules?
Yep.
Anyway,
That concept is completely beyond my children. Like they literally have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm like, yeah, we had to show up at a specific time. So, all right, friends, that was great. I had so much fun. I hope you did too.
Yes.
Uh,
so horrible, but I loved it.
it was really cool how badly it ended for everybody. So, are we okay? I mean, I think it's the latest for me here, but are we okay spending, say, 15, 20 minutes putting together some characters for our next game? And so we can hit the ground running next time. Or should we just save it for next time? Any preferences?
I'm good. I can stay.
Yeah. How about you, Joe?
Joe, you all right?
Yep, absolutely. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
So I added Rising Tide tab. I'm just gonna hide our chamber tab.
I mean, if no one's opposed to it, I think I'll just recreate my character from the last Rising Tide session.
Yeah, that's fine. You want me to unhide that? It's back.
And maybe tweak it depending on what the other characters chooses. But as always, it's basically the same, Malaysian American, pirate princess.
So what I will do, friends, is I will share the PDF on the screen so we can walk through it together. I can find it. There it is. And so this is, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop